Shoulder shrug. 620.
It's my significant other's birthday today, and mine's coming up in a few days. Hey, Brennis. I'm gonna brag.
Do you need a gift, Mike? Are you asking?
I'm asking the people for a gift. My significant. Can I brag real quick?
What?
We're gonna get this out there. My significant other. A nice band with Tyrannosaurus Rex fossil in it.
Oh, nice.
And it's got a verification card on it, too, from a real T-Rex. It's pretty cool. So, yeah, things are looking up over here. Chewy, good to see you, buddy.
Ketzel, gotta let you know, I do see that you're not banned anymore. Ketzel got banned, Mike, by YouTube in the last episode because we were making jokes about. All right, so you weren't answering, so I said, "Oh, he's probably dead." So Ketzel's response was just "Rest in peace, Mike," and YouTube banned him.
No,
from the channel for a bit. That's kind of weird.
That is weird.
Well, we know JM's not having any fun, so he let us know. Not only was the audio not working, it's also boring. So thanks, JM. We're getting rolling here.
Yeah.
Mike, Jeffy boy, he gone.
Shocking news. Not for us so much. I mean, obviously we expected this to come through. We also are not retaining my boy Doug Chutta. My boys in Dearborn represent. He's not coming back. But Matt, I'm going to ask you the big question, and I think we already know the answer if you've watched enough episodes of the show. Is it the right move? I mean, to be honest, I don't know if Blashill ever really got a fair shot to see what he looks like behind the bench with, playing with a full hand of cards, so to speak. He's basically been in a reprogram. He's been in a rebuild program since basically day one, where it felt like every deadline, we're giving away, ready now players for, prospects and draft picks. So, I'm not going to be a big, I'm not ready to die on that hill or say, man, we really needed to retain Blashill. We were just on the cusp of being relevant, and then we give up on him. I think the beef was, I think the last straw was, you retained him as long as you could with a losing team, even though it wasn't, the most stacked roster of all time. But this season, we saw what it looked like with Sider, with Raymond, guys like Larkin, Bertuzzi, Ferrana, obviously for a much shorter spell than we'd like. And we had a lot of games where, Red Wings fans were kind of looking at each other going, my God, we lost by a touchdown? Well, that'll probably just happen once. And then it would happen 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times, over the course of the season. So I think Yzerman could have stomached and maybe even, my God, given him another year if it had just been like, a 500 team or just a little bit below. But I think those games, losing by a touchdown, kind of losing that connection with the players. We're on the cusp of, being in a different tier. It looked like it was time to go.
Yeah, I mean, I would come back to, even if he didn't have a full deck, he really lost control of like what was going on there with the multiple goalie polls, which is just, I don't know. To me, again, I just feel like when it's something that's unprecedented and how often he did that within like a 2-week span, it really just pointed to, all right, he's it's not like, I don't want to sit here and play this game where we saw like Frank Saravelli tweeting out and we made fun of him. He was due to be made fun of for the tweet of just saying some players are unhappy with Jeff Blashill. But my problem, because you don't need, as a leader, you don't need everyone to love you. I think there's a million different ways to lead. I don't choose to lead that way when I have those options, but I don't. It's confusing too, and I'll just put this little staple in there because a lot of people, have already pegged him as like the player's coach. So I'm not saying people hated him because he was like mean or anything, but I just want to say I don't think any of that really comes into play At least if I was Steve Yzerman, I don't care about any of that because, again, I don't think you need everyone to love you to be successful. But we'll say when you can't really get a grasp on like what's going wrong, how can I stop this from being, like ballooning to 11 goals? That's a problem. There's got to be some way to like plug those holes sometimes. And, it's not like that happened every game to end the season, but more than once was too much. I think you can take a blowout like that. The Maple Leafs just got blown out 8-1 to Tampa Bay, like a week and a half ago. So it happens. It happens to everyone. But in the short span, the back and forth of the goalies, there's also this element too, where if you're gonna jump on this train with me and come for a little ride here, the season wasn't going to result in playoffs, right? And Jeff's putting together lineups where we kept begging for certain guys to play together, and it kind of felt like you couldn't really connect the dots as to why some guys were getting the more like the better offensive opportunities, being higher in the lineup a few times during the season. And it just like that's almost something too, where you wondered if Jeff was making these safer options, going with guys who he knew instead of trying to go with a riskier option. If it is a riskier option, I don't know. It's not even riskier. Like, that's the thing. I'm going to pull back on that. I'm going to say I'm dumb for saying that because that wasn't even the point I was making. I found it difficult to figure out what the decision was. And I think that's certainly a good reason to kind of make that separation. So what would be nice, I will say this, if we did not have some reasons to point to, and we were making this change because this team just needs a new voice, and we needed to, we're going to be bringing in a bunch of new names, and this is like a new era, where instead there are a lot of reasons that you pull the plug on Jeff. So, I don't know if I'm quite ready to say, because I think there is an element here too that I want to discuss with you, and I want to get your opinion. I'll go first. I'm not ready to say that this move was completed or done because Steve is ready to move this roster to the next level. Mike, let's. I'm going to peruse the comments here. I do have to first throw out. Curtis came aboard. He couldn't stick around. It's his son's first birthday.
Oh,
happy birthday!
Happy birthday!
Yeah, so you probably already jumped off after my little rant there. So, Curtis, hopefully you see this later. But happy birthday to the little one. I did see a couple of notes here. Oh, I do. Performance arts stirring the pot. He said Jeff will land a new job before we announce our new coach. I don't know if I have a problem with that. I don't know if we're taking our time. That's fine. But performance art does throw in there, and this was kind of to your point, Mike. The devil you know is always better than the devil you don't. I just don't know that comment has some truth to it, but it also assumes that we're not doing a ton of due diligence, that there isn't like a longer plan to bringing in a particular coach, which I don't know. I don't know if we can say that. I mean, we hung on to Jeff for so long because we kept saying the timing wasn't right. We knew we were still going to stink, kind of thing. And then it gets moved on again for the reasons that I listed, and maybe because Steve is ready to move this roster to the next level. So I know what you're saying, performance art, with that one. I just, it's tough, right? I mean, that's almost a comment too, to say that that means Sergei Fedorov's coming in, right, as our next head coach. But I also, we'll talk about that. I have a lot of fears coming into play with doing a move like that. That really is just bringing in another name. But Mike, I asked you a question a second ago. Do you think Steve's making this move more because of Jeff Blashill or more because this roster is getting its big push? Or can you even really separate those two?
I think that the retaining of Jeff would indicate to me that they think that this is much longer of a process than we, the fans, are hoping and expecting for. The separation to me indicates that Yzerman thinks that yes, I did not quite give you, the Colorado Avalanche roster, but I did give you enough where I think this should have been, about a 500 team. And you didn't quite get there. So my plan this offseason is I have a wide open cap sheet. I have prospects coming over. Knock on wood, maybe draft will go okay. I have free agency money. This needs to be, more than just a symbolic gesture. This needs to be more than a cap sheet. This needs a new voice. And I think that, Steve is going to want to, handpick somebody to help lead the team into the next tier, from, cellar dwellers and teams that flounder into, a playoff team year in, year out. So I think that's going to be interesting then to see what kind of candidate Steve looks at. If it is going to be somebody proven, with NHL experience, or if it's going to be, maybe somebody who's never coached in the NHL before. But, maybe somebody who, maybe this is kind of teasing what we're going to talk about in a little bit, but, maybe somebody a little savvy with the native tongue as some of the players that we have. Maybe somebody who's, really good at development. Maybe somebody who they think can get something more out of, the Velenos, the Zadinas, the Rasmussens, elevate Mo Seider even more. So yeah, I don't know if it's going to be, like a guy who's maybe lost a few playoff rounds in the NHL or more of a development guy, but I'm pretty interested to see that, which decision they go with.
Well, we've got some more thoughts on Jeff. Ketzel thrown out there was primarily because he lost the locker room is why he got the boot. Charlie, what's going on, Charlie? Blash coaches boring basics developmental hockey. How to level the playing field. I like that, actually, the way you put that, Charlie. But it's time for some creativity because talent is back. Now, what's funny was how excited we were at the beginning of the season, and we kept mentioning, like, oh, man, they're letting the reins go. Like Lucas Raymond, Mo Seider, able to do whatever they want. They're just dipsy-doodling around everybody here, and they're creating some fun offense. Mm-hmm. And that just seemed to disappear as the year went on. And I used the word risk and him trying to make less risky decisions as from a player lineup perspective. But that's actually, I think to Charlie's point, that's something that I'm missing myself, is that they definitely pulled back. They saw some holes in the goaltending. And again, we talked about Nedeljkovic having the most games he's played his entire career this year. So I'm not worried about Nedeljkovic, but you can't argue that the play certainly dropped. And when that started to happen, it's almost like Jeff hit the panic button, tried to reverse an entire half a year of practice and strategy of letting some of these guys do what they want and try to be more creative and do some more, be themselves is kind of what I wanted to throw out there. And I think that's how we fell in love with Lucas and fell in love with Mo. And then that completely went away. Now, Mo is just so talented. His ability to be fun to watch whenever he was on the ice did not go away. But the team as a whole turned into what Charlie just described as the limit chances from either side. Let's try and get to the third period. And I think with all of this mixed messaging, probably over a whole year, the holes in the goaltending for sure. But then not being able to, like, we could toss this in there, not being able to figure out how to plug that hole. All that stuff combined. Ketzel throws in there, maybe too nice of a coach. I don't know. Mike in the comments throws in Alex Tungay. the new coach. I don't know about that one, Mike. If you
No.
saw this power play like turn into a brand new thing here, I think you'd have something to run with here. But I mean, there were some flashes. There were some Dan flashes for this power play.
Hey,
But there wasn't enough for me to see here for a guy to go. What are we talking? Was he minors or college? Then to Jeff's coaching staff, and then yeah, to say that we've seen enough to give him the reins. I don't know. I like where your head's at, though, Mike. Dr. Disinfect, of course, in reference to Dr. Disrespect, says don't bash the Blash. It's too late. I mean, he's gone. We can't. There's nothing we can do. That's all we can talk about is the fact that he's gone.
no, listen. On this show, I think we've talked about it a lot. We didn't think. I think that I'm going to keep using that poker analogy. He was kind of playing the hand he was dealt, right? So, like when this team was severely lacking in talent, like last year, he just, openly just, he made it very obvious on the ice that the strategy was let's just limit opportunities for both teams, and maybe we'll win a few games, 2-1 or 3-2. So we'll just really shut down how back and forth the game is played, because we don't have the guns, to go up and down the ice. And it did translate to some victories. It was a coaching choice, obviously indicative of what kind of talent Blash had. So, like Matt, you alluded to a moment ago, when Lucas and Mo came up, you're like, whoa, these guys are super duper skilled, intelligent players. We can open up the ice a little bit. I think Blashill did, make those attempts to make the game a little bit more fun, as a Red Wing player. To open it up and let these guys off the reins, like you said. But just felt like ultimately, I don't know if, necessarily we know if, the message just wasn't getting across, but and these
Right.
guys would just get annihilated by touchdowns. It was too much. And, it's time to move on, and, probably best for Jeff too, who, he did have a long shot. He was, at this time, the second longest tenured NHL coach, current, in the league, which is, no small feat, especially for a team that's not doing very well. So, I mean, he still got that on his resume, and I don't think he's going to go long. I know one or two of our commenters already said, he's probably not going to go very long without having some sort of NHL job. But I feel like Jeff will want some sort of break before going back into head coaching, because this had to be pretty stressful, night in, night out. So I would think he wants some sort of reprieve.
I don't know. There's really no need to go too deep into Jeff's future, but there has always been that element too of the pressure. Kind of similar, like we bring up pro wrestling all the time, but it kind of similar to like if you're injured, you got to still get back out there. But there's only so few NHL coaching jobs, so I think if Jeff gets the call, he's got to take it. Righteous is aboard. He says, "I'm late, but hallelujah, we are blashless." Poor Jeff. Now, I want to take this and transition into a tweet we threw out there to get the world's opinion. But before I pull up this comment, I do want to throw out there, if you guys are having a little bit of fun, just go ahead and let me know what you guys are thinking coach-wise, because we want to try and touch them all. And if you guys are having a little bit of fun in the chat or listening to us go on and on about poor Jeffy boy, hit that good old like button, hit the subscribe if you want to check out the next episode. Should throw out there too. We plan to do our season grades by Little Caesars menu items. It's our annual review of the NHL, or I should say, of the Detroit Red Wings season. And unfortunately, big news. So we're gonna push that off till next week. So yeah. So there's that. All right. But anyway, Mike, here's some of the comments we're getting right now. Yuri Fisher, lol. Of course, Associate Director of Player Personnel right now. Ketzel throws out there, think Ozzy might get the call for goalie coach. Brennis, that would be interesting. Ozzy does love Kosa. Look at this.
Those jobs are always really tough for me to, like, if you've had a TV job to go back into coaching, I feel like there's a really low success rate. If we're look at it, maybe Barry Melrose.
You don't think John Gruden did a great job?
That's my next one. I just I also think like once you get to once you kind of get that cushy TV job, it's a whole different animal to be there with the team, for 82 regular season games and the preseason and the off season. It's a hell of a grind. So yeah, would not anticipate Ozzy wanting to leave that.
And Dr. Disinfect thrown out there, Steve Yzerman, of course. But Mike, that brings up I brought back our old game, right? We had to do it a lot. When we were hockeyless. That's right. When COVID struck and we were struggling, God, how long did we go without hockey? What was that? Like 9 months? We had our Be the GM segment. Yeah. But what I asked on Twitter at BOD Hockey, if you guys want to follow, hopefully we will be transitioning to at Red Wings Rant soon enough. Piece of garbage that has that Twitter account with one follower. I hate you. But anyway, question we asked, who would you sign to coach the Red Wings next season? Number one, there's a lot of different options here, Mike. Red Wings alumni. So we're getting a lot of shout outs. Jared thrown in there. Yuri Hudler available?
Oh, no.
No, Jared, we're not reading the rest of that.
Jeepers creepers.
So yeah, of course, there's been some other names thrown out there. Larionov, who just signed a new contract, as Max Boltman threw in his article that came out yesterday. So I think Igor's crossed off the list, but also Sergei Fedorov, part of that list after he just won a championship in his league after being down 3-1. He coaches his team to victory, and then the next day Jeff gets fired, and everybody was like. As if Steve Yzerman was like,
make it so.
I'll think about it. But if he wins that championship, Jeff, you're gone. Jeff's just watching that game sweating. All right. So number one, Red Wings alumni. Number two, spelled incorrectly, Rikard Gronborg. And number three, Lane Lambert. And other in the comments there. We did get some good suggestions, like Boudreau, if his career does not continue, good old Vancouver, which, I don't know. It's one of those things where, Vancouver ended up on the outside looking in on the playoffs for a team that, Mike, you and I were ready to take some of their players last year. So arguably, we think that was a very talented team, and despite Bruce doing a better job coming in halfway through the season, they did get real close to the playoffs, but there were too many losses. And I think right at the end there, what did they ran together like 6 or 8 wins in a row or something. But so there was a lot of good to like about Bruce, but I wonder too if there was so much good, a lot to like there. Why wouldn't that relationship continue? But it is still interesting. Like that was the one that I think sticks in the back of my head the most from what we tweeted out there. But Mike, that only took home 11% of the vote. Lane takes home 10% of the vote. Mike, I was a little worried about doing this in the poll because I figured people are going to lump together their Larionovs, their Fedorovs. And as we learned now from Jared, he was thinking when he voted on this, Yuri Hudler. But only 32% of the vote, Red Wings alumni, and 47% of the vote, Gronborg. Of course, the man who looks like a Viking and carries himself as one. Got the tweet actually earlier today from Performance Art. He's concerned people just want him to coach because he has a beard. I mean, there's also the relationship with Nicholas Lidstrom. If we, not only was he bringing him up in recent interviews and said, "Yeah, that's my boy." What was this? Sweden's national team, levels U18 and U20. Again, part of the committee that was selecting him, Nicholas Lidstrom. So, I'm sorry, the 2016 World Cup team. There we go. So, bit of a relationship there, especially with the guy we just signed to help Steve Yzerman build out what this team's going to look like in the future. Steve, arguably maybe his right-hand man. Anytime he's in town, he's sitting right next to Steve discussing hockey. I mean, he is considered the perfect human. Would he have the perfect selection for a future coach? Maybe.
I guess what I feel like is I feel like the Red Wings now, I feel like they got their taste of what it looks like to hire Jeff, I would still call him like an AHL guy who, we thought we were kind of getting a little lightning in a bottle here, and now it'll translate to the National Hockey League. But I mean, Yzerman was part of that Red Wing regime. Obviously he's, not exactly what the example when I tell you what I'm getting at, but like the Red Wings started really going for players who are from Europe, from Russia, in the late 90s. And they do get credit for kind of being, a little bit more open-minded instead of just, so stringently focusing on Canadian, and a few Americans. So I would honestly be a little surprised if they didn't pluck somebody from the SHL. Whether or not it is, Gronborg, or I would, maybe look at Cam Abbott, Roger Ronnberg, a couple more SHL guys.
I thought, if we could pause, I thought Roger, who was, I like the way that this was put by Max Bultman's article on the Athletic. The Red Wings love drafting boys from Frölunda so much. Why not bring over their head coach? And I will be honest here too. When folks were really excited about Gronborg, I thought everybody was talking about Roger Ronnberg. Sorry, only because of the Frölunda connection. And I thought, that's the easy, bingo. That's how we know what's going on. It's going to be the Frölunda boys coming over, and who's going to coach them better than the guys
I know it's a stretch.
Grow.
I know it might be a little bit of a stretch, especially asking this guy to we know how much hockey players and coaches kind of like growing roots and staying there for a long time.
Yeah.
I know it'd be asking a lot to be, any of those coaches to uproot their life and come live in Detroit, year round for 5 to 6 years. Just bring your whole family over here. But I mean, if they do want a taste of the NHL, I mean, they already have a ton of familiarity with, Red Wing alumni being in the scouting department, talking to these guys, before and after games. They're familiar with the players themselves because they've coached quite a few of them. You've already named, Raymond Edvinsson, our favorite unicorn, Elmer Soderblom, all sorts of guys like that. So I got to think that Steve's going to make a call. And as far as, the Red Wings kind of being at the forefront of, going abroad for player talent, I wouldn't be surprised if they're at the forefront of, looking abroad for coaching talent. So that's probably where I'd put my money. I don't think they want to, guess and hope again on another AHL guy. I don't know if the former NHL guys are that sexy of picks right now. But Matt, give me one of the guys from Europe.
Well, we do have, I like some of this stuff to point out for the details for the boys in Europe. Landeskog kind of thrown out there, kind of has, and I should, Landeskog, Gabriel Landeskog of the Colorado Avalanche there, just has my buddy, Gabe. His quote was, kind of has the charm between being able to let loose around his players, but also demand a lot when it's game time. Now, I point out that detail because I can't quite put my finger on Mike, and maybe we can open up the discussion to everybody here. Mike, we have like 1 million comments, by the way. So, guys, I apologize. There's a lot of comments in here for Babcock. Jared, you nailed it. Keep that keep that goddamn name out of your mouth.
Matt, before we get off the Babcock comment, we had Babcock, then we went to Blashill, and if you close your eyes, they sounded exactly the same. Voice-wise. So just keep an eye out, keep an ear out for that. Our next coach might sound exactly like Mike Babcock.
All right. Doc O trying. He's campaigning right now to be numero uno on my shit list. Thrown out there, Babs or Torts. Both of those guys tied for last on my list right now. But he did throw out a lull. So hopefully,
Doc, we're gonna be checking those medical degrees because I don't know what they're in. Matt, continue.
But yeah, what I was saying. Moving on. I forgot. I didn't finish my point here. I can't quite put my finger on whether or not does that describe Jeff, because Jeff has always been considered, like I said earlier, a player's coach. But he gets pretty intense on the bench. He's not like giggling and tickling boys going, oh, I'm a player's coach. Don't worry, guys. Let in 11 goals. It's fine. He gets pretty intense. So is this description? So I was thinking Roger. But does this description just kind of sound like Jeff a little bit? We don't know if he lets loose, but I know there's an element of like when you are the player's coach, you're a little bit warm and fuzzier in practice, right? I don't know. Should we just say no because we have no idea and move on? And just establish that this is a point of concern?
I'm going to let that one go because I don't think any of us who watched Jeff over the past, was it 6 years, 7 years?
7.
Would say, wow, what a charming guy. let me just take that away right now. Yeah.
He says kind of has that charm between being it. Like it's not like he's saying Ronnberg is a charming fellow, right? I don't know. All right. But of course, Cam Abbott that we rolled over a little quickly here. Everybody is constantly letting us know how to develop a player, who's been failed, who our coaching staff failed with, who, even if somebody has some success, so it definitely wasn't because of our coaching staff. That's fine. But maybe we could say that Cam Abbott, I don't know. Do we just say Seider had such a great time in the SHL playing for Toronto that like Cam doesn't even, like he has a relationship, right? But did he really have anything to do with developing Moritz Seider? Because Mo just pretty much steamrolled that league from start to finish. Is this just God-given talent?
This one, I would say the one comment to keep an eye out for is it looks, like Cam was working with his brother Chris, who is the GM. So this one of the SHL guys that we're going to look at, this is probably the least likely one because as far as NHL guys liking to have roots, we'd be asking this guy to, hey, how you're having a great time running a successful team with your brother? That's over. Come on down to Detroit, my man. So this one I feel is pretty unlikely.
Well, we can let everyone know too. For Gronborg, though, I think the last point to land on here, Mike, he had a game 7 that I looked up earlier today. Elite Prospect says he lost. So I don't, I haven't looked at like the box score or anything, but it did say he lost in the championship round in a 2021-22 season. I don't really care about that. I'm just kidding, but I didn't want to throw that out there. I don't really have any details. But for Gronborg, except for his amazing beard. I'm just kidding. Okay.
It is a glorious beard. But
yeah, I'm not. I was going to say it's nothing to sneeze at because we love saying that all the time, but certainly it's had its fair share of snoogies and boogies in there. It's a big beard. All right, Mike. we have so many comments to go through. We did have a comment, and I'm sorry. There's Martin. Martin Tuna. Did you see Soderblom's goal he scored the other day? I certainly did, and it was freaking amazing. This is something too. I wonder if Mike, did you get a chance to see it? Maybe I can. Maybe you can stall for us here, and I can try and pull it up. But
he's turning into Mo Seider, where it's like every time there's a game where player X is playing, I just expect something amazing to happen. And Soderblom, Ilmar Soderblom, is once again proving this might be the most exciting unicorn since I don't know. Probably that one that flies the lead character into Valhalla in God of War. So pretty exciting here, Matt. I'm very, very pumped to see how this guy turns out. Easily going to be one of my favorite 6'8" human beings on earth. Man, have I stalled enough?
Stretch. I can't find it. All right. I guess I just have to go to ice hockey gifts.
Oh no. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, this guy's, showing off that not only is he tall, Matt, also very skilled guy. And I'm pretty sure we're confirming that he's gonna be in our Griffins team next season. Is that correct?
Oh, can I confirm that? Absolutely.
I thought we did confirm that he's gonna be a Griffin.
No, we haven't confirmed that yet. Not from our sources.
Can we say that you heard it here first, even if it's untrue next season?
Yeah, our sources will be Max Bultman when he tweets it out.
The AHL
according to our sources,
print it out.
Yeah, right. When the Grand Rapids Griffins and the Detroit Red Wings made their official statement, that'll be our source for the big announcement. All right, so. Where's our boy at? I got her. Oh, there we go. Number 25. He's taking the puck from the point. Everybody loves the way I run these replays, right? Where it's just all.
Can we get one at just like full, like regular speed before we slow it down?
Fine. Here you go. Soderblom's the one who had the puck from the get-go, but this is, yeah. And you know what? Now I get it now. Ketzel threw in there 7-foot tall Bobby Orr. I saw that and I was thinking, like, it's so weird. Just the other day, I was thinking about Bobby Orr, but it was in reference to this goal. Because Soderblom does pull ye old Bobby Orr and going for the little leap there after putting one in the back of the net. But this is just an amazing play, and it's not something too that anybody will be able to do. This isn't something where we have to, we could look at, oh yeah, he's got the basics down. No, this is just a Soderblom. This is Soderblom only. Nobody else is making this play. We back this up here. Yeah, this is actually going to be really tough to track with how bad the connection is right now. But yeah, I mean, this is Soderblom. When we see him right now, he's at the top of the circle. I'm looking out from this camera angle. He's on the left-hand side. And he's going to use his body first to get on the, inside of the defender here. And it's just his arm length and how far he can move this puck away from his body is going to give him this ability to put it behind the goalie. Mike, you called him our little unicorn. We know that Wallander has that, and we know Edmondson has gotten that distinction. Like we've talked about that. There's just something about these guys that no defense can really prepare for, right? Like you can't, there's the Bobby Orr shot. You can't say we need to spend a day of practice figuring out how we're going to stop Soderblom, right? Like eventually it'll get figured out, but this is just something our boy is just going to run rampant, I think, through the AHL. And again, we don't know officially, but I with a play like this, I think he's ready to go.
I mean, the power, the reach, the domination, it just looks like, LeBron James dunking on me and my 8th grade buddies. That's what it looks like out there.
I have another point.
Go ahead.
If somebody wants to make the point that these guys are just way too small to get excited about, that's another reason to bring him over to the AHL, right? Like, he can do this, and he's done it multiple times over the last couple of years. This type of move, this type of get out of my way, Soderblom coming through and just puts it in the back of the net. And we've seen him score from multiple angles. We've seen him be able to, as time has gone on, he hasn't lost anything. Defenses haven't figured out how to stop his ability to come crashing through in the zone. It's time. We're ready to go. Bring him on over. It's time to. Ooh, there's a burp. It's time to see what he can do in the AHL, right? I mean, there's your two schools of thought. You can either be bored by this because he's playing against. I mean, you could see the guy who's playing on him is a smaller human, but
it's going to be most people he plays against.
Well, that's true, but it's one of those things. When he was doing it, in the juniors, you couldn't get too excited. He does it now in the SHL. And the size of the player will get bigger when he moves to the AHL and the NHL. We know that. So I think it's time to test that. And it's time to test him too with, the North American game as well and see how this can transition. And maybe he'll break a record. Maybe he'll break Berggren's record, of course, getting most points in a season for the Grand Rapids Griffins. All thumbs up for that one. I think Prashant Iyer shared something after the Griffins season wrapped up of Berggren's game score, like for the entire season in Grand Rapids. That's another thing. That's worth it, I think. Actually take a second here and look this up because it's a wonderful visual for you to see just how dominant he's been and not have to just sit there and rely upon he broke a record for points, because we were snarky, right, Mike? We were making fun of that's
I mean, it's
nice. Record break that's been broken before by a bunch of guys who don't become career NHLers. But when you got this to shout out, this is his game score. And like most of these games, he is a positive performing game score player. And for quite a few of them, you could tell that he's one of the best players on the ice. And what this is breaking down is by these percentiles. You can see where Prashant put the dotted line in the 75th percentile. How many times is he in the top 25% of players on the ice for that night is incredible. This is his first season in the AHL. So again, we're not just sitting here talking about, look at all these points. This is our boy's performance here is fantastic. I wanted to point that out. I don't want to talk too much about it, Mike. Give you a second here.
No, I know. You always try to, do it with a grain of salt because, you don't want him to be Crash Davis, our beloved Kevin Costner, baseball player, but you want to have a little something extra, right? So I feel like this, I don't know how much AHL stats really wet your noodle, but at least you feel a little bit better about him not just putting points on the board, but this percentile might make you sleep a little bit better at night about what kind of prospect you're getting out of Jonathan. But we've had sexy AHL players, like you said, who never panned out. So it's a nice achievement. I'm not doing cartwheels and consider my noodle not especially wet. And there you go.
Well, I mean, we're bringing up Berggren, right? We're talking about all the Swedish players. We can come back to the comments here. Hell 9001. I still love that name, Hell. Gives us our long list here. He's bringing the conversation back to Gronborg. I think again that one goes in two different directions there. Where I think Roger Ronnberg.
I like that Swede Detroit too. Swede Detroit Red Wings.
Oh, I didn't even catch that. I didn't even know what you were talking about for a second there.
Yeah.
Ace coming in. He agrees about Tunge. Probably going to see a new special teams coach. JM. I want to see us attack the puck. I'm so sick of dump and chase. I that comes back to like the risk averse decision making and anything we can do to get away from that. But I also think that lends to, if I may, we were talking about Max Boltman's article about all the different coaching options, which we still didn't talk about the one that I think ultimately we're gonna end up doing, and I think it's gonna be kind of a wet fart. You guys might already be able to guess. Throw in your guesses. Wet fart guess. Who are we gonna sign? But anyway, Max Boltman's next article, JM, was okay. Jeff, was he perfect for this team? Doesn't look like it. But Mike, as you started the show and what Max wrote the article about today, the next coach needs some more tools, right? Like, I think we can all look at this team, and as much as I want to make a big stink about, I wanted to see Zadina play with this guy, and I wanted to see, from the get-go, I wanted so-and-so to get more minutes, whatever that conversation is going to be. I think we know that the talent is certainly lacking for this team. So to that point, I think some of the dump and chase was risk averse because of how scared Jeff was to let this talent, the group that's out there, could they actually be successful with attacking the puck? Are they going to go after the puck and then all of a sudden it's a 2-1-1?
I mean, what's funny too is the next guy who comes in If Yzerman kind of helps, stack this lineup a little bit, finding a second line center. My God, what if he signs somebody along the lines of like a Forsberg? That coach, I mean, this team, and he somehow drafts or calls up or, finds some sort of defenseman. So we have a real top pairing. That coach is going to look like a genius, whoever it is, because suddenly you're going to have, an almost legitimate NHL lineup. We know there's still a lot of depth to fill up, and I don't know if we quite have the tally for superstars, but I mean, if you're going in with a healthy Verana, Larkin, Twos, Raymond, Seider, Nedeljkovic getting a fresh start, and my God, a second line center. That coach is. It's gonna feel pretty good. You're gonna feel pretty smart because I feel like this team. We saw what a difference two guys makes. What happens when you add maybe two or three more? So,
Mike, do you as a human, do you have the capacity? Like, if you were Jeff Blashill, would you have the capacity to watch the Red Wings next season and hope for success? Would you have that in you as a human? Like, would you be able to say, "Gosh, I know I didn't do this. I failed, but man, I really hope that Bruce Boudreau takes this team
I don't
to
think
the Stanley
that
Cup
Jeff
final."
is gonna be as upset watching the wins come in. I think he's gonna be a little bit more cranky when the offseason starts. Like, oh, now we need a second line center. Now it's important. Oh, okay, I get it now. Now we call up all the good prospects. Oh, what a job this guy's doing. Like that's what I feel like Jeff's reaction is going to be. The wins are going to come. I think it's a little bit like the quarterback for the Packers, Aaron Rodgers, watching yet another offseason where his team does not sign or draft any wide receivers for him to throw to. So I kind of feel like it's going to be like that for Jeff.
Quick point from Martin Tuna. In that game for Soderblom, that wasn't his only opportunity like that. So our boy was getting multiple shots on net. I do wish, Mike, someday I'm going to have the time to watch some of these games. One day.
Yeah.
Brett is just coming in out of nowhere, even though we've talked about him multiple times. He's just throwing in just an extra Gronborg. He just wants to get another one in there. Brett, I thought you were around for that conversation. Do you want to come back to Gronborg? Or did I call him? Did I call him? I don't know. Brennus,
that sounded ish. Yeah, Gronborg. Gronborg. Yeah.
Sam wants to throw in there. I think Veleno could have a big year next year as a productive after a productive summer. Sorry. He has NHL feet and hands. Just needs to adjust a tad. I've probably landed prematurely on him being a bottom six solution for the Wingdings. But I mean, I say prematurely, but then I think we could all agree we want another center on this team, and it's not like Larkin's losing his spot anytime soon. So you're not really right. You're not like, ooh, I can't wait for us to pick up that third line center. I feel like if Joe's going to be a second line center solution, it might not happen here, or it's a ways down the road. It's so funny too. Like, he'll go down to the AHL and line it up. He had those couple of stints this year, and he just looks unstoppable when he's down there. And to Sam's point with the good feet, the good hands, like, that's what he's all about. He's just creating plays and putting pucks in the back of the net. And then he comes up to the NHL, and maybe that's where it's about. Let's get a new coach in here. Let's see if somebody can give him a different look when he's on the ice and find a way for Veleno or to use Veleno to use this asset. And maybe he just hasn't been utilized properly, but
maybe
again, right. I mean, maybe the hard maybe is a good placement there. But yeah, I mean, to Sam's point, productive summer. We'd have to figure out what exactly that means to Joe. I think he's a great kid. I love the Mojo show. There's nothing that I would love more than to know that show is going to continue because Joe had a solid spot in the lineup. But yeah,
I'm not against him being good, right? The NHL feet and hands. I think you can make that. Claim. But as far as being a second line center, I gotta think I would think we'd have seen it by now. And I'm not saying that we have this huge sample size, but I mean,
Oh,
and in limited viewings with Lucas Raymond or like Verana, right? You can tell that these are this is like real talent that you can't really teach. Like these guys are born with incredible skills, that put them on the first or second line where their hand-eye coordination is just unbelievable. You don't know what those guys are doing in their free time, but it's not something the average human being can do. So I don't think that ideally what Veleno's ceiling makes him a 1 or a 2 center for the Red Wings. I think he's could probably have the work ethic to be the 3rd or 4th best center, but I don't think he has like that undeniable God-given, or however you want to describe it, skill, where it's just undeniable. You can tell that this guy's going to be like a top point producer. He seems to me more like one of those baseball analogies where it's not a single A, double A, or triple A star, but like a 4A star. So not quite a great NHLer, but an excellent minor league guy and a pretty good NHL guy.
Well, I'm going to do this because I'm a big dum-dum, and I was just like, Bradis, why are you just throwing out Gronborg again? And it's because I said, give me your picks for who I thought would be the wet fart selection. But Bradis, come on, he's not the wet fart selection. This is my transition. You have to talk about Lane Lambert. Mentioned earlier in the show, Mac, everybody always throws out this kind of these connections as to like, why would so-and-so be, have the in? And it's Max starts this out. Yzerman's former teammate and roommate in Detroit. So there's that. But I didn't know that, and I was still okay with the signing because he's the right-hand man to Barry Trotz. And it kind of, we know as Detroit sports fans, Mike, you and I, so I can't speak for everybody who's watching this because not everybody is a Detroit sports fan. They're a Detroit Red Wings fan. But, Mike, that's cool. But we have been hurt by that quite a bit, Mike, as Detroit Lions fans. Looking at Matt Patricia coming over as Belichick's right-hand man. Sometimes these guys create these they just have great systems, and they need a particular guy in a spot because he's going to be the best thing to make the system, move properly. That doesn't necessarily mean that the guy in that system is learning how to create his own system. And we saw that firsthand. So I would say that is good and bad. Or I should say it's not necessarily bad. It's just that we've been hurt before. And we spent a lot of time in the last episode talking about with different prospects over the last 20 years, how often I've been hurt. So it only makes sense to talk about coaches and being hurt before. I would say, again, this to me would be the wet fart. I think there's a lot of excitement for like you think about Steve Yzerman and the comments always being made that he's playing 3D chess. The rest of the NHL is playing checkers. And for Steve to go across, the pond in the SHL and pick up a coach would just seem like so Steve Yzerman. It would seem so #YzerPlan, right? We'd see the memes with the glowing red eyes from Steve on Twitter. That's what that would feel like. This, Lane, that feels like, I don't know. It doesn't even feel, it's not as bad as like a Ken Holland pickup, right? But it feels, there's something about Lane being our next head coach that just is not, it doesn't get me excited. Now, if Steve was like talking to Gronborg right now and he's like, look, I like you, but we're just, we want to get you in our system. We know you're going to be able to speak to the boys. And I don't mean language wise. I mean, actually, speak to the boys as a coach. We know you're going to be able to speak to the boys, but I'm just not ready. So we got an assistant coaching position. So if it was like, Gronborg, Lambert, head coach, Gronborg, assistant. Yeah, I'd be all over that. I would actually be, I don't know. I'd be pretty stoked about that. But anyway, if it's just an announcement of Lane and then he creates his own coaching staff.
So
I'm just there's so much about
maybe
this that isn't as exciting.
maybe we should pivot this conversation a little bit. So like maybe it's not necessarily what name do you guys want to see, when Yzerman makes, the big announcement that he signed his head coach here for the Red Wings entering the next tier. But maybe more about what kind of personality and or like focal point of their coaching system do you want to focus on, right? So like a good example, just to kind of give you a counter example, like when the Pistons were winning playoff series, but they weren't quite championship ready. They went from Rick Carlisle, very good regular season coach, and then they went to a guy they thought would be the final piece in Larry Brown. So just kind of like that. Do you think that the Red Wings, what kind of personality do you think that they're going to be trying to hire? Do you think it's going to be more of a developmental guy, or do you think is it that comment about Lane being a guy who gets your whole team prepared? Does that smell like an Yzerplan hiring, where we know how measured, and secretive Yzerman could be, but he does seem like a very prepared guy who is fine taking criticism, because you guys are all going to be licking my toes when Mo Seider is a Hall of Famer in a dozen years. So
gross.
What kind of personality and or philosophy do you think that we're going to be seeing when he does make that hire official?
Well, it feels like, we'd be getting away from the players coach and the development side of things, and we're going for more, like you mentioned, you want to talk about detail oriented. I actually think that's a pretty weak comment, because I doubt that there's a coach out there that's not checking out the teams coming up down,
let's just show up. All right. We're going to do a little improvised game here. All right. We're going to do a little NHL and then.
I would say that comment scared me. Like, that was something where I was like, really? That's the best you got? So I guess what I want is someone to talk about these coaches and their past experience, and to be a little bit more excited, like Landeskog was. So I think there has to be, to me, like, the best leaders are building those relationships, but do turn on the no nonsense when it's go time. And we know, like, Mike Babcock was always no nonsense, and we won a Stanley Cup, but some have argued, how many Stanley Cups did we leave on the table because guys just didn't believe in Babcock, or they hated his guts. But then you take Jeff, and we don't know too much what was going on, but all we were ever sold was he's going to be all about the players, and it didn't really seem to kick him into gear to make sure Jeff didn't go down to 11-2 in his final year. So, it's not like it turns on the players to like, I'm going to die for my coach out there. So we really, we can't say too much about what's going on. I know, like, what do we get? We get press conferences from these guys. And we get to see, really, like you talked about, their voices were the same, Babcock and Blashill, but really you could make the argument it's two very different press conferences, between a Blashill press conference and a Babcock press conference. And one is a little more hardened and one is definitely softer. So I think to me, my opinion is always landing, I need something in the middle.
Because I want to see what the commenters think, but I think that Yzerman this just kind of feeds into my theory that we're going to be one of the first teams to finally prize somebody from Sweden, because we absolutely need somebody who can develop talent. In that interview, Steve's going to be like, listen, I'm not ready to give up on these kids. What do you think you can get out of Rasmussen? What do you think you can get out of Zadina? Can you help Joe Veleno move up, from a third or fourth line center, like Michael says on Red Wings Rant, into a second line center? I'm going to be having all these kids coming up. I got Lucas Raymond. I got Mo Seider. I got Edvinsson. I got Wallander. I got the beautiful unicorn himself, Elmer Solterblom. So I absolutely need a guy who's going to be, in these kids' ears and helping them turn the corner and be cornerstones for this next wave of Red Wings success. How are you going to be able to develop those guys? So that's, for me, more evidence that it's going to be somebody from the SHL.
Sounds like you need Jeff back in there. I'm just kidding. Daco, coach equals fear and toughness on its players and translates to gameplay. I think that's one way. And I don't know. I can't say that would be my favorite way for anybody to lead. And I know we're talking about hockey. We're talking about guys checking each other into the boards. So you don't want to be too soft, but I just can't get into I don't know. I guess it gets too close to like the Torts and the Babcock way of thinking. And that just makes me hate hockey so much. Also, you guys want to talk about boring hockey? You bring in a guy like Torts and Babcock. Let's talk about squashing chances. Also, Torts just hates Zegras, so maybe that's a reason everybody wants Torts. I hope this isn't. Sam says this is an exciting episode, but you put that out there, and we're kind of like waning. I feel like I'm getting tired, so I hope Sam is actually having fun watching this. I feel so tired right now.
Well, let's look at basically all of our current Detroit teams are in a developmental phase. None of them are really playoff contenders. The Tigers thought they were. So, I mean, would you rather have the Tigers AJ Hinch approach, where he's kind of a level-headed guy. You don't really see him crank it up to 11. Dwayne Casey is definitely let's play it slow. Let's develop these guys. I'm going to give my kids lots of minutes. And it's just about the daily grind, and we're going to figure this out, one possession at a time. And then you have our boy for the Lions, suggesting his players are going to, bite the other team's kneecaps.
But definitely a player's coach.
Yeah.
Like, that's tough. But he would, and he's
Dan Campbell, by the way. I don't think I said his name. Yeah,
right. Like he's going to get his team to like run through a wall, and he just needs more talent around him. I think. I mean, I don't know how you just. I'm not interviewing these guys. I think NHL coaches, just like the players, are, they keep to themselves. So it's tough. I just know I don't want Torts. And I know everybody hates Torts, so I want something like you said with Dan. You get a Dan Campbell, you get a guy who is tough and asks for blood, but also, again, these guys, it's just by the look of it, would literally murder for Dan Campbell. They love him so much. So I hope that doesn't get us removed from YouTube. But yeah. What's that HBO show? That's gonna be fun to watch.
Which one? There's a lot of
the one starring the Detroit Lions and Dan Campbell. Jeez.
Oh, the Hard Knocks. Well, you said murder. I thought you meant some sort of killing show, which is all HBO is. So it's like, you got to narrow it down a little bit.
It's that one show.
You didn't say football.
I want a Larry David kind of coach. I want.
Not today. I see you guys didn't show up in the first period. Probably won't for the second either.
Coach, 2 minutes to go. Pull a goalie? What do you mean?
Bum, 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 So you're taking the Dan Campbell approach? Because I feel like Yzerman's going to hire the Dwayne Casey approach.
Yeah, I feel like that described the coach I was talking about before.
Because that also, you know what that does too? I did. Dwayne Casey, it's going to be a Swedish guy.
Oh, you want?
So Dwayne Casey's not Swedish, but we did get him from Canada. He's a Toronto Raptor.
Oh, okay. Now I see the connection.
We went abroad. Yeah. But if you're going Dan Campbell, Matt, does that mean that you are taking somebody who used to be in the trenches for the Red Wings. You're taking a Red Wing alumni.
No, that has nothing to do with it. His leadership style.
Hold on, let me adjust my question here then, because I think that Steve's going to pick somebody from Sweden because of the way I think he thinks. Are you putting your money on Steve hiring a former Red Wing?
No,
what do you think Steve is going to do?
I thought I made it pretty clear that I thought Lane was going to be the one who gets.
You really think it's going to be Lane? Ugh.
Yeah. That's why I said it would be a wet fart.
Oh, I'd be really bummed by that. Do we have the comments coming in?
Yeah, that's what I said.
All right.
All right, Jared's got a good one. The head coach from the Leonard Kenny Rockets. By the way, the new show, Shorzy, oh my God, I cannot wait. I think that comes out this month. Mike, if you haven't watched Letterkenny, anybody watching this right now, and you have watched a second of hockey, or you can appreciate the Canadian people.
I appreciate the Canadian people. I want you guys to know. Every last one of you. Yeah.
I think anybody who's watched Letterkenny knows what I'm saying when I make that comment. But yeah, it's one of my favorite. It's an all-time favorite show now after watching it just the one time. And yeah. That's a great pick, Jared. You A+. I can't remember what his name is. All I know is that he kicks garbage cans and says, you know what? I was gonna say it's fucking ridiculous. Is that what he says? Jared, help me out. Is it fucking ridiculous? And he kicks the garbage can? No? Mike's making a face. He's scared. All right. I like Brennis's thought. Dan leads hard, but his heart is on his sleeve. Also,
oh man, when that guy openly cried,
yeah,
man. I mean, first I thought, what a punk, but then I was like, man, this guy really, really cares. Like he really wants to be on that cross for that Detroit Lions organization. It definitely seems to be inspiring the players, and I think their GM, obviously, he's spilling Detroit Lion Kool-Aid, but he's like, yeah, players care about that kind of stuff, and it seems like they do want to play here. But go ahead.
Thank you, Ketzel. Oh, it's fucking embarrassing. Oh,
embarrassing.
Like such an asshole. That's the coach from Letterkenny. Ridiculous. Ketzel with the win. Thanks, Ketzel. I appreciate it. We were talking about that. There is that video that has been shared since January. I forget who the first person was to share it on Twitter, but Blash Drill shares it all the time on Twitter. It's at Blash Drill, or maybe that's just his name. Anyway, Blash Drill's sharing it all the time, and it's Gronborg, because his players were getting hit up during the game, and the game's wrapping up, and Gronborg's losing. He's coming over the glass to go kill the other head coaches on the other side of the glass, and they're so mild, man. The other coaches are just they're like, nah, and he's grabbing the glass and spit's coming out of his mouth. It's all over that beard. He's just going crazy. That could be our evidence that we have a Dan Campbell available or on this list. So, like I said, it's tough to figure out who these guys are based on press conferences. But there's your evidence right there of Rikard going absolutely nuts. And Joey throws in there, how is he not the perfect fit? I think that, to the Dan Campbell description, that's a great way to look at it. If you guys haven't seen that video, I highly recommend. You could probably find it just looking up. Should I try and find it? Is that what we're doing here? I hear you.
We'll get it for next time.
All right.
No, not against that. I just think there's an important distinction too that stuff is from Dan is legitimized because we know that he did play in this, in that terrible franchise. So he knows exactly what it's like being, a member of that team. Not that, I don't know. Gronborg just won't have that advantage, but it does seem like similar personalities. Yeah, I wouldn't mind Gronborg. That would be, kind of feeding into my SHL theory. There he is.
Look at those crazy eyes. Oh.
Woo!
Well, there we go.
He's doing his Letterkenny.
He's doing his Letterkenny impression. fucking embarrassing. See? This reaction. Come on. Get out of here.
Are you telling me Larkin wouldn't want to, play even harder for that guy? Think about how hard Larkin played for Blash on the bench going like this.
Can you picture how hard your hand would be shaking while you're in the parking lot and you hear his footsteps behind you? Like just trying. Oh wait, you can just unlock your car with your key fob. What year is this?
What are you talking about?
Yeah, it's like
who has a key? Who has a key anymore? What are you talking about, man?
Such a stupid asshole.
I mean, besides me, because I have a 2013 Chevy Cruze, but that's besides the point. Chevy drives the Motor City.
Or of course, use it in the Swiss League, right?
I thought they just kind of air glided with their rocket shoes.
But yeah, this is a great video. Great. Let's see if we can pause this here on Crazy Eyes. Yeah, this one right here. That's scary.
If we sign this guy, that has to be our new profile picture.
Yeah. All right. Jared's all about it. Hire him. Chewy, he's got beard power. And Brennis, I want to run through a brick wall right now. We've all got a brick wall coming up, Mike. It's called Monday morning.
It's true.
I think it's about time we wrap up. We sail off into the sunset. Guys, I can't thank you enough. We had our most live viewers we've ever had. I really appreciate it. Performance art, last one here. You guys like him just because of the beard. Damn it, performance art.
Performance art has somebody who will never grow a beard. Very envious of Mr. Gronborg.
Yeah, and I stopped trying to grow mine out.
I think your beard decided I'm done growing out. That's about as long as yours is going to get.
Fucking embarrassing. All right, we need to get that dropped. That's a good one for all the Letterkenny fans out there. Oh no, let's just get. What am I talking about? We'll get the Gronborg one. That's gonna be way better drop. Yeah. It'll be heartbreaking when he doesn't become our next head coach. All right. So we all agree that's our selection. That's our Dan Campbell of the future for the Wingdings. Guys, if you could hit that like button if you're still hanging around, I'd really appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button so we can have some more fun in the future. We still have our grades for the Red Wings, of course, by Little Caesars pizza items. Well, we're pushing that to next Sunday. And Mike, I think May 10th, should we just do a live recording and we'll start talking about draft picks because we'll find out where the Red Wings are drafting instead of doing the next night?
We want to do that, but I also can't wait to just give 5 minutes to talk Toronto and Tampa Bay. Holy crap. How is that a first round series? I can't wait to see how that turns out.
I will say that has fueled a lot of arguments for how broken the NHL playoff system is. But
must-watch TV?
The East is stacked, though. Like, it's really hard to figure out, like, all right, like, how do you fix this? Because any matchup, like, looks really good. I don't know. Let's not get into that. We'll talk about that.
We'll talk about it next time.
Yeah, we'll actually have games that have been played. We'll have two days. So we'll see you guys on Wednesday. Thanks, everybody, for coming. Eric Johnson throwing in there. Beard power. Let's do it, everyone. Beard power. See, I didn't want to get too psyched because now I'm just setting myself up for disappointment in the wet fart signing. All right. Here we go. Hit that like button, subscribe, rate, review on Apple Podcasts, and we'll see you guys on Wednesday night. See ya.
Woo!